the league has lost, as we've talked about, $40 million even this year. Now,
chaos breaks out as the WNBA suffers a huge playoff loss of $40 million following the conclusion of Caitlin Clark's first season. Sincerely, I am ecstatic about the WNBA's crash and burn moment. Caitlin Clark's inaugural season helped the league reach its zenith and generate billions of dollars, but as soon as she was ousted from the playoffs, the league abruptly plunged into a coma and lost millions of dollars. And to be honest, this defeat was well-earned.
What entitled players in the WNBA just can't seem to understand is you get what you put in, and right now, you are getting exactly what you deserve. All season, you have complained about Caitlin Clark.
In other words, Caitlin bears the weight of the entire league, fills arenas, sells out jerseys like candy, and all she receives in return are racial accusations and a salary that most likely couldn't even cover it. They had a golden goose after months of coffee runs, but they chose to serve it with a side of disdain. Wait, do you realize how terrible this loss is? Don't worry, I've prepared all the figures for you.
We have thoroughly covered that they've lost $50 million, a season, or they were expected to lose $50 million as a league this year. Reports are it's 40 million, not 50. That they're,
Immediately after Caitlin Clark packed her bags and bid the WNBA farewell, the league lost a cool $40 million. It's true that millions of people took a moment to process the fact that one player had quit, and let's not even discuss how the ratings plummeted by more than 50%. It turns out that Caitlin Clark was more than just a player. She was the main factor preventing the WNBA from collapsing. This was a sobering reality check for everyone who believed the league was finally going to be the next big thing.
All that negativity, it has come back to haunt you, as ticket prices for the WNBA playoffs are damn near being given away for free.
Additionally, the arenas indeed, there were abandoned settlements. Do you recall how crowded the stadiums were during Caitlin's first season? Like if it were a Beyoncé concert? Well, where did all the money go? Well, not anymore. Attendance fell precipitously by half after she left. When you consider how fans were flooding and smashing records just a year ago, it's insane. During her first season, Caitlin's squad amassed an incredible 34,715 fans, breaking a record that hadn't been surpassed since 2001. However, the thrill vanished as quickly as a duck at a police convention the moment she left.
6th seed, and in front of the 16th sellout this year. Here's a look at the total attendance, and the Fever are going to be over 200,000 higher than the next highest total attendance in league history.
Clarkonomics, my friend, Clarkonomics.
Additionally, merchandise everyone was wearing a Clark jersey during Caitlin's freshman season. They were soaring off the shelves. Sales of WNBA products increased by an astounding 61%. Like, that's a rocket launch, not just a bump. However, the second Caitlin declared her intention to travel to Europe. Those sales were a huge success. Sponsors of retailers, everyone was left in a panic, trying to understand what had occurred. It seemed as though the WNBA had lost more than just a player. Putting those golden eggs down, the arenas were deserted. The fans vanished.
Through an audience of 929,000, ESPN announced, which is 50% less than the Fever's Game 1 against the Suns.
However, Caitlin wasn't merely making points, to be honest. She was printing money for the league. By alone, she made the WNBA a cash cow, breaking attendance records and selling out arenas while jerseys sold out quicker than hotcakes. Because of Caitlin's social media activity, which was off the charts with nearly 2 billion views, a fourfold spike from the previous year, people who had likely never even watched a WNBA game were now hooked to their TVs. Every time she took the court, she elevated women's basketball to the status of the Super Bowl.
A little bit of Angel Reese when she played Caitlin Clark, but everybody else playing in 4,000, 5,000 seat arenas until Caitlin Clark came in. Yeah, viewership was up. Yes, they signed a new TV deal, which is going to pump $2 billion into the league, but they're still projected to lose money.
Additionally, the funds when Caitlin Clark joined the WNBA, the league earned $2 billion thanks to her historic stats and marketing power. With ticket sponsorships and media partnerships bringing in millions of dollars, the WNBA finally began to turn a profit. They pulled in for the first time ever. More than 2.5 million fans, Caitlin altered the game rather than merely playing it. By attaining statistics the league hadn't even envisioned since its inception, she turned the WNBA into a lucrative enterprise.
After Clark drew a WNBA record 1.84 million viewers to her first playoff game against the Connecticut Sun on September 22nd while competing with an NFL Sunday, she followed it up with another record audience of 2.54 million viewers for game.
Here's the real deal. You would think that Caitlin would have received royal treatment from the WNBA. She was mistaken. They treated her as if she were simply another player rather than seeing her as the league's future. In the meantime, detractors and rivals were too preoccupied with making baseless claims of racism and the league to support or recognize her true worth. The saddest part is that they gave her a pittance in comparison to her value. Is it surprising that she answered, "Yeah, I'll take the paycheck," after taking one look at Europe? Regards, they weren't playing around with hollow promises since they understood her worth.
All season, you have complained about Caitlin Clark. All season, you have allowed your jealousy, your bitterness to cloud your judgment. All season, you have allowed your emotions to take over, which got in the way of what could have been an unbelievable year that set the foundation for the future of the WNBA.
They had a future celebrity, but rather than rejoicing in her success, they were enmeshed in a haze of drama and foolishness. The league was too busy chasing after rumors and denying accusations of racism, which were primarily sparked by players like Angel Ree and Alyssa Thomas. Angel always won for stirring the pot, to give Caitlin her league mismanagement and missed opportunities flowers. Instead, they went after Clark's fans, accusing them of being racially disrespectful.
I can never remember any male athlete ever entering into new league and being treated like this. To me, what's interesting about what's going on right now is none of her teammates are standing up for her because I don't think they like her either because they don't like the fact that she's white and straight. She's actually the minority here and she's being treated unfairly.
Talk about making a mess where none was necessary. Rather than utilizing Caitlin's incredible talent, the league allowed the entire season to devolve into a political circus that the media couldn't stop covering. The commotion also transformed Caitlin's actual season into an odd off-court feud. It seemed as though they were too preoccupied with turmoil that shouldn't have existed in the first place to notice that she was setting records and lighting up venues.
She said, "It's just so crazy because the growth that Caitlin has brought to the game, the sheer amount of money that she's making these teams, people are having to move their venues when she comes to play, and she's getting paid like $75,000 a year. She should be one of the top paid players in the world just for the sheer numbers that."
Furthermore, Caitlin wasn't even being compensated for her value, which was an even bigger slap in the face. This player is responsible for a 48% increase in attendance, and it's crazy right now. She's getting peanuts from games with almost 10,000 fans. Her games were crammed in comparison to her influence. With a staggering 61% spike in sales over the previous year, the merchandise bearing her name was selling faster than ice on a hot day. The league should be giving her money, but they aren't. They were too preoccupied with making money off of her. Fans react. Is the WNBA in trouble? Name while neglecting to give her the money she was due. As a shrewd player, Caitlin has said, "I'm out of here," and prepared to leave for Europe. WNBA fans were in complete awe. But can you blame her? The league treated the girl like any other player despite the fact that she was bringing in ridiculous sums of money. She even claimed in interviews that the league did not even issue a foul since the guys were physically abusing her. She felt as though she was physically carrying on her back and didn't belong in the league.
Rival League needs Caitlin Clark, and they are preparing to offer her a massive deal. But is it all too little too late?
Because of the severity of the financial crisis, the WNBA was forced to use force in an attempt to win her back. And by big guns, I mean WNBA Commissioner Kathy Angelbert, who had to essentially scold Kathy in a memorable, "We really screwed up" moment. "I apologize to Caitlin personally. Yes, it was that awful." Her words went beyond simply saying, "Hey, we undervalued you a little." No, She went so far as to acknowledge that they had grossly misjudged both Caitlyn's influence on the court and the WNBA's financial position.
And sources say that it's a 6-year deal that could be worth more than $100 million.
Hold on, there's more. Engelbert had more tactics in her toolbox. She also declared that a 13th team would be added and that the regular season would increase from 40 to 44 games beginning in 2025. The Golden State Valkyries with additional games and a whole new squad. They made every effort to give the impression that the league was still flourishing, but without Caitlyn, it all seemed a bit like window dressing on a dilapidated structure. The bottom line was right in front of them, even though shore games and new teams sounded fantastic. The WNBA's major push for a sustainable financial model was becoming less and less solid without Clark. And there you have it, a league attempting to save a sinking ship. However, they're going to have a difficult time until they can get Caitlin Clark back on board.
Guys, we have some breaking news that I want to bring to the table. Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, Commissioner of the WNBA, just announced that starting in 2025, the WNBA Finals format will change to a best-of-7 series.
Yes.
And the format will be 2-2-1-1-1. In addition to that, the first round, which is already a best-of-3, will change its format to 1-1-1.
Yes.